Respected elders, very dear friends. September 21st is now officially recognized as United Nations Peace Day. Our culture, our Vedic tradition has highly spoken on Shanti, Shanti and Shanti, preceding with Om, Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. How to arrive at it is also masterfully shown through our literature. The method seems to be eluding us. Something that you hide yourself in some corner or a cave or go to a mountain, you'll find peace. But is it really possible? Maybe. As long as you are in a cave, you might find silence. You may be on the peak of a mountain, you will find silence. But silence is not the same as peace. And is that the aim of our life? Someone asked my Guruji once, "Sir, I'm so stressed out and my life is full of anxiety. I would like to get some peace." So he simply said, God is so benevolent, He's so merciful and compassionate. He can grant you peace. But think for a moment, your father is a king and you ask for 5 naya paisa. How would your father think? Boy, I'm here to give you much more. Peace of mind is like that 5 naya paisa when we're asking, begging God for that. He can give Himself. Anything else will be a kind of a short-changing ourselves. We have so many stories from our literature which says, Mahabharata story also talks about what to ask from God. Before Mahabharata started, Kaurava and Pandava, their representative go to Lord Krishna and talks about this aspect. One of them asks for all kinds of stuff. Army, arsenals, and whatnot. The other fellow, Arjun, is wiser enough. He says, "My Lord, thou art enough for me." And you know the consequence, the result of such a war. You can have everything, you can have the whole world, but what if that doesn't come with us? You can have the peace of mind. Fine, but what do you do with peace? Is joy possible? Is bliss possible without peace? Ask yourself this small question. Is joy possible without peace? If you are restless, if you are irritated, if you are angry, can you have bliss even for a second? And is peace possible without harmony? Is harmony possible without contemplation? Is harmony possible without contemplation? Is contemplation possible without thinking? Focused thinking. Is focused thinking possible without meditation? So if we have to arrive where we began looking for Sat Chit Anand in our life, it must begin with meditation. That's the source of all. See? Whether you arrive by efforts or it simply happens to be that you are in a state of meditation. Most scientific research is starting with Newton's finding of gravitation. He was sitting under an apple tree. It fell. And he thought for a moment. He was ruminating and said, oh, why didn't it go up? It had to fall down. That chain of thought process led him to gravitation. Kekule's invention of benzene structure, some of you who are in chemistry can appreciate how he arrived at baffling question on the structure of benzene. When the king ordered Archimedes, when he was gifted a crown of gold, and so find out how much gold is there in this crown, because some of his courtiers were saying, no one can give you 100% gold crown. So king was puzzled. Maybe not. Let's find out how much adulteration is there in this crown. Archimedes kept on thinking that I'm supposed to find the content or the purity of this crown without breaking it, without cutting it. One day he found out when he was simply relaxing in a bathtub. You know, the displacement of water, and then what he found is amazing. Madame Curie. So many examples are there, and our rishis, when they find out all these nakshatras we talk about today through astrophysics, astral science, you need rockets, you need so many high-powered telescopes, but they could close their eyes and feel the presence of all these constellations and can exactly say these are the constellations, this can be the effect of these constellations, this can be the effect of such a planetary positions, and that is how astrology came into being. So we have a horrid tradition of finding so many new things. Most of our rishis were scientists as well. Those days are gone. You see, when in 16th, 17th century, when Galileo and Copernicus, as you know, they were questioned for their scientific researches by churches, by religion, that prove, otherwise you will be killed. Because their researches were going against Bible, their researches were going against the traditional belief. When they say, Earth is not the center, Sun is moving around the earth. The traditional belief was like that. See? And when these guys comes up with the courage and said, no, it is not so. It is the earth that moves around the sun. They were forced to change their conclusion on this matter. And unfortunately, they had to go through the torture. And so many researchers made sure that these scientists suffered. Those were the days when science had to prove to religion, the well-documented thing, that you prove it through religion. And tragedy of today is, we have to prove our holy tradition, dhyana, certain traditions that we have. Why do our sisters or our mothers, they put tikka, kumkum? Why do they fast on Ekadashi? Why do we have so many traditions? Science is questioning this. Scientific mind is questioning this. Logical mind is questioning this. And when we don't find such answers that can convince, then we stop following those rituals because you don't want to look like a dumb. You don't want to look like a foolish person when you cannot answer, why do I put this kumkum on my forehead? Why do I have to fast on 11th day? Well, all these traditional things we can always talk about later on, but suffice to say today that all these traditions had a scientific backing behind it. They were made into religion, ritualistic things, so that everyone would follow it in their day-to-day life to reap the benefit of such a belief. Dhyana, meditation, it's such a thing. Today science is finding more and more on the efficacy of meditation. They have found that the people who meditate on an average of 20 to 25 minutes per day are able to counter Alzheimer's disease. You know, Alzheimer is where the elderly person loses the capacity to recall, loses the memory, loses the entire memory, can't even recognize his own life partner or children, can't even remember where he belongs to. But when they did the experiment on many elderly people, they found people who meditate, their gray matter seemed to increase by few millimeters in their brains. Another experiment done was on London taxicab people. This I learned from Dr. Rick Hanson's research. He says these drivers, when they were trained for 3 months, their hippocampus, some of you are medical students here, I suppose. Hippocampus is where these earlobes, you can point it inside, there's a groove here in the brain. That increased by few millimeters. That's a point or the area in the brain where you increase your capacity to see things better and have the idea of space. Another extraordinary thing they found, that people who are under stress all the time, amygdala suffers, it swells up. And amygdala is a part of the brain where it always responds to fight or flight type of situation. It's a fear center of our brain. When you have to argue with someone, it is amygdala that gets activated. What happens during the fight? Either your hands goes up, or if you're too weak, your leg starts moving. You have to run. That is amygdala response. Now, how does meditation fits in all these things? Meditation is the one that triggers prefrontal cortex activities, the frontal brain. It makes you think. It makes you think before amygdala hijacks and gives you fight or flight of a response. But that is a scientific way of looking at it. Let us look at one of our great traditions in India, where after conception, mother-to-be is sent to her maike, to her parents' place. Why? Do we ever think about this? Or is it just a ritual? I'll bring one scientific angle to it. They did a research on pregnant mothers in Brooklyn, in a ghetto environment. Ghetto means that there is a lot of violence. You don't know whether your husband will return home or not. And he might return, but he may be sleeping with a gun under his pillow. Imagine a situation of a mother-to-be at that time, always under stress. And what happens when a person is under stress? Sympathomimetic response would lead to neurotransmitters that promote sympathomimetic response, like dopamine, adrenaline. And what is the role of this dopamine, adrenaline? Increases the heart rate, increases the blood pressure. So what happens to such mothers? They're always under stress. Blood circulates in their arms, in their legs. The lips start tingling all the time. And then, do you think the blood in such a mother will not transfer itself to the fetus? It will cross the placenta barrier and go to fetus. Fetus will also respond accordingly. Fetus had nothing to do with all these things, nothing to do with the external environment. But the external environment created something in a mother. Neurotransmitter from mother's blood will go to the fetus blood. Now, interesting thing they observed is prefrontal cortex here, whose function is to think, contemplate. It's a cognitive ability. It suffers because the blood supply, because of this adrenaline dopamine rush, is not much here, but it is on the back of the brain. So children born to such mothers have a very well developed back part of the brain, the cost of the frontal brain. But mothers who are in suburban neighborhood, where there is more wealth and there is more harmony, they picked up such mothers and conducted this experiment. The frontal lobes were very well developed. Digestive system is also very well developed. What happens in compromised condition where sympathomimetics system is so active? Blood rushes to hands and legs at the cost of providing blood to the developing digestive system. So the baby is born will have digestive problems. Suffice to say that it is the environment that changes the genetic pattern or the genetic response. Though you may have a healthy genetic pattern from your parents, but now the environment you live in has changed everything. That's why in our tradition, generally, wherever possible, mothers to be are sent to their parents' place. Our Indian society largely had been, until last few decades, an agrarian society, where everyone had to work, contribute to work, they had to work in farms. So traditions are great. We have to understand why it was done. When we look at it from this perspective, we can appreciate it better. We can go one step further and study the children of parents who are meditating. You'll find extraordinary results that such children have immensely powerful cognitive ability. Second, third, fourth generation of such children, you will be able to pick up from the crowd and say, parents must have been meditating. Look at them. I would like you all to not just have blind faith, even though our tradition demands blind faith. You must not doubt religion, you must not doubt the presence of God. But what to do? My mind is corrupted today. My mind has become more logical and more scientific. Nothing wrong with it. You can have millions of doubts. Nothing wrong with it. But once you have experienced something, then you can say yes. It's no longer a question of belief. When I see the stars in the sky, do I need to have belief that there are stars in the sky? No. When I see the sun rising and setting, I don't have to believe in its presence. I see it is there. I don't need to believe in it. When we say I believe in God, inherently, somewhere there is a doubt Belief and doubt, they go together somehow. More I believe, that means I'm trying to push my doubt into my subconscious. I'm whitewashing my doubt by adding more beliefs. When I say I believe in God, do you really believe in God? Ask yourself honestly. And when someone says, why do you believe in God? Then you say, oh, my mom said so, or my grandma said so, or my father taught me this, or my sastras say so. Knowledge is good. God exists. It's a beautiful knowledge. But this knowledge can be embellished, be more stronger, when this knowledge is backed by personal experience. Once you have this experience, from a very young age, I can say, yes, God exists. It is no longer a belief because I have experienced. I would like you all to have such an approach. You are the scientist. Let your heart become the laboratory. And you let your life become the result of this experiment. You don't need to believe in some gurus or sastras. Prove it in your life or disprove it. Today I'm going to walk you through a special process. I'm sure most of you must have meditated once or twice in your life, or maybe you may be a regular meditator. This meditation which I'm going to teach you today, it is aided, supported by a special technique called pranahuti, loosely translated in English as transmission. What is this transmission or pranahuti we talk about? I would rather not talk much about it. I wish you experience it, then you say, oh, this meditation was because of pranahuti. In order to differentiate the effect of pranahuti on meditation, I'd like you to meditate without pranahuti once. That will become your placebo meditation. And later on, I'll work with you so that you can meditate with transmission, with this pranahuti. And you see, you compare the results of both and arrive at your own conclusion that yes, pranahuti can take my meditation, take my consciousness from wherever it is to a level that can be very satisfactory to yourself. After all, what is the purpose of meditation? In the words of great Swami Vivekananda, he says, such spiritual practices are there so that my available consciousness can soar higher in the sky of superconsciousness, and also so that it can dive deeper into the oceans of subconsciousness. It is only this purpose, so that my available consciousness, its bandwidth is increased once it moves into superconsciousness, and also it is made to plunge into subconsciousness. You can say bandwidth is increased from whatever it was, 5%, 7%, to a greater level of consciousness. So, without further talks, I would request you to close your eyes and meditate the way you like. And after a few minutes, I'll walk you through the meditation with transmission. So please continue with your meditation the way you like. Now, I'll walk you through the simple process of relaxation. We put 2 to 3 minutes maybe. And right after that, we'll meditate on presence of divinity which is already present in our hearts. So when we meditate, at the end of relaxation, when I ask you to meditate, visit your heart, attention. Pay attention towards your heart and think that the divine light is already present there. Just pulling your attention inward. And I'll be working with you with the help of transmission, with this pranahuti, and see how it changes your meditation. So we'll begin with this relaxation. Please close your eyes again. Now pay attention to your feet, thinking that energy is entering your system from Mother Earth and is helping you relax your feet. Allow this energy to move upward to your ankles and lower legs. To your calf muscles and see how they relax. Allow your knees and thigh muscles relax. Feel the energy move in your hips and back. Allow this energy to move your abdominal area, your stomach area. Feel relaxation there. Your chest area, feel the relaxation there. Allow the tension to simply dissolve away. Let this energy move to your shoulders. Feel the lightness there. Feel as if the shoulders are melting away. Let this energy move your lower arms, including your wrist, palms and fingers. Now observe neck muscles relaxing, becoming lighter. Please pay attention to your jaws becoming softer, lighter, relaxed. The entire facial muscles. Your eyebrows and your eyelids are relaxing. Your earlobes and nose, your lips. And now, top of your head. Scan the whole body from top to toe. Feel the relaxation all throughout. Now gently bring your attention towards the heart. Think that divine light is already present and is pulling you inward. I will say that's all once the meditation is over. If thoughts do arise, remind yourself that you are meditating. That's all. Good. Like any good thing, we try to preserve. We all know. I wish that you would preserve this gift of meditation, the outcome of it, which is a very sublime spiritual state inside. You can recall it whenever you like, and you can further it, you can allow it to grow in your life, wherever you are, whenever you feel like, you can sit and meditate. Enjoy, meditate. When you are sad, meditate. You have nothing else to do, meditate. When you have a lot of things to do, meditate even more. How? By keeping your inward attention all the time to this condition. Now, from my side, I don't have much to share, though there is a lot we can say. It's enough for now. If you have any questions, I would be happy to answer. Yes, sir.
How do we differentiate a state of meditation from a state of microsleep? Can we meditate with mindfulness?
This question often comes to us whenever we conduct these programs among college students. They are somehow sleep-starved. When we conduct such a session, you will see them snoring away in various corners of the hall. I also, on numbers of occasions, had gone so deep into myself, and which I used to misinterpret as sleep. Because in this meditation with transmission, effect is immediate. When we are seated, we go so deep into it within no time. Only thing we can compare it with is our usual sleep, but it's not sleep. If someone asks me to sit down and say, Kamlesh bhai, sit down and try to sleep now, I can't sit and sleep. But in meditation, when I go deeper while I'm sitting here, that deeper state, what they termed it as Yoga Nindra, is different from sleep. Because when we come out of this, within few minutes, you feel fresh. When we are drowsy and sleepy, you feel heavier and groggy and you don't feel like even walking. There's a beautiful experiment also by some fine researchers all over. I would say thousands of papers are released on this research on meditation and sleep patterns. And they did the study on monks, Buddhist monks and meditators of various systems, having an aggregate of 2,000 to 5,000 hours they have invested in their practice. And then all those EEG probes were placed on their heads and measured this EEG studies. In this EEG study, they found very remarkable thing with delta wave. When we are interacting with our awake consciousness, we call it alpha wave, and it has a certain rhythm. In delta wave, it goes to bare minimum between 0.5 and 3 hertz per second. So, seasoned meditators within few minutes were able to get into a state, meditative state, mimicking delta wave as if you are sleeping. Some might. With this heartfulness meditation, we also did the experiment with transmission. Even the newest person who is meditating for the first time would go into delta wave immediately, within 5 to 10 minutes. It shows that you don't have to invest so much of hours in practicing this when you have pranahuti at your hand, when it is available. And second thing is, delta wave is a sign that you are in a susupti, you are sleeping. But here with this meditation, more or less you'll be alert, though there is a delta wave, meaning you are relaxed, akin to a sleep, but you're fully aware, you're absolutely mindful. You have a 360-degree perception. At the same time, you are absorbed within. Did I answer satisfy you? Okay, thank you.
I had a great experience between the first and the second meditation. Each experience is different. In first meditation, I had a lot of thoughts, and the second hardly had one or two. That's my experience I wanted to share.
Thank you.
My question is about success and meditation. Do all successful people meditate? Or they born in such a state that there is a correlation between success and meditation?
Oh, there is a success. Successful reports about success on people meditating. Most people. I don't know if you heard of the team, basketball team, Chicago basketball team, Bulls. Michael Jordan is one of them. Their coach Philip, I forget his surname, but he used to teach his players how to meditate before basketball game starts. And for more than, for 4 years or 5 years, all through, they remained all-time champion in the United States. And when this coach moved from one team to another team in Los Angeles, he started teaching his team same results. No? Why go that far? In our own land, see, we can achieve so much when we are cool, quiet. There's a difference between a mother who is hyper and mother who is so quiet. This quietness comes as a result of doing meditation. I may not have been gifted. I may be lacking in some fortune or a luck of having a composer which is so poised. But I can cultivate it. If I don't have it, I can cultivate it. When I don't have enough money, I can work hard and make money. So meditation is like that, where I may not have all these things, but I can collect the spiritual wealth when I can. There was one beautiful study also here I like to quote by Daniel Coleman. He prophesizes largely on emotional quotient, EQ. And he studied successful CEOs, Fortune companies in the United States. One common thing he found that such successful CEOs were empathetic in nature. They would consider their subordinates and their team members first before they make their own decisions. That's what made them successful. And then he says, what is it that can help you develop EQ more? This requires 360-degree awareness of your colleagues, of your subordinates, about your situation, about your clients, and then come to a conclusion. He said, meditation improves your EQ.
while in meditation, transmission happens. I just wanted to know what kind of transmission is this and what is the source of transmission.
It's only one kind and it is only one source. Did it make you wiser? No. But I wish that one day you'll be able to tap into this source and also distribute it. We have a tradition in this particular path, we call it Sahaj Marg. The masters of these traditions are able to do this because they are so merged with the source, God. That's the only source we have. And at will, with yogic sankalpa, with their thought power, they're able to transmit the essence of that, which we all feel. So that's why I didn't want to use the name gurus and gods, but actually walk you through this experiment so that you can say, okay, this is transmission. I didn't want you to have a blind faith. The nature of this transmission is almost like love. I can compare it like this. You know, in India especially, during summertime, when you observe the trees on the roadside, the farms are dry and trees are, it's barren, lifeless trees. But with the first rain, they all come to life. During the summertime, the roots, they absorb moisture from the earth that keeps them going. They survive the season. Likewise, we also, our life is going on, we all have soul. Life force is deeply rooted in there with our soul. But when pranahuti descends like rain, it refreshes you again. See? And more we do this, you will see your life unfolding to a newer level of freshness, newer level of consciousness, and go beyond consciousness. Do you ever think that this consciousness that I have, subconsciousness that I enjoy, superconsciousness that I have in meditations, is there a limit to it? How far does this consciousness can reach? What is the source of this consciousness? What is it that supports this consciousness? What is the potentiality behind it? So we have to go beyond all this and find the source. And that is some source for everything else. Our existence, our life, pranahuti, belongs to this one source. And it is not kept as a secret with this Heartfulness Institute, Sahaj Marg. At some level in our life, anyone can transmit. Anyone who desires to serve the humanity, yes, I like to also make the other people happier with this transmission. I can help them meditate better with this transmission. Then I have to meditate more, come to some level of spiritual evolution, so that someone can train me and become a transmitter myself. So Gurus here don't keep any secret. Whatever he can do, we all can do.
If I start heartfulness meditation, do I have to stop doing my traditional way of worship?
Why should you? Continue with what you are doing, but don't stop this heartfulness meditation. If it helps you, continue with it.
Thank you, sir.
I used to tell my mother, she used to do japam and all. Arati kind of a thing in Gujarat. Arati is done twice a day there. And when she saw me meditating, she also wanted to do it. And she said, should I stop all what I'm doing? I said, I'm not going to tell you anything. If you are doing Dipam twice a day, you do it 6 times a day. I don't have any problem. Do it more, if it helps you. But since you want to meditate also, make sure it is your regular ritual. There is no success without regularity in any field.
I am very much interested in practicing meditation and getting involved in spiritual life. But my parents always force this. They say I'm just 20 years old and it's time to concentrate on my studies and I should focus on my career. So they feel that I don't have much time to do this.
Okay. Well, you're already too late to start meditation. The best time to start meditation, actually, to start any spiritual thing, is a moment of conception, where one gets initiated to a higher level of consciousness. But when parents miss out that opportunity of initiating that incoming soul to spiritual path, then the rightful age would be now 16 years. At the age of 16, you can start meditation. See? What happens if you start meditating when you come to my age? You can barely walk, you can barely sit with your back problems and leg problems. See? If something is so great, why postpone it? Would you postpone your salaries for next avatar? You won't. Would you postpone your salary by 2 years or even 2 months? No. Why postpone such a vital thing in our existence? It must be done. Sooner the better. And when, as a child, I can do it, as an adult, I can do meditation. And when I am ready to plunge into a family life, and this moment of conception comes, you will be able to bring better souls in your life. Because such souls are always waiting. Where can I find parentage who are so spiritually charged? So if I wouldn't tell my children to postpone it. If they want to meditate, I'll ensure that they meditate regularly. I'll ensure that they find such a system where there is continuous guidance. Thank you.
I am practicing another type of meditation system with another guru. Can I also practice this system which you right now taught us?
I think it's going to be a big problem. Well, what I would do, the question, I have multiple questions, answers to your question. But I would very humbly say, continue doing this meditation if you liked it. And if you have to give Guru Dakshina, give to your Guru. Let me serve you with this meditation. Second aspect, psychological. If I'm happy with my Guru, why would I look around? If I'm happy with my wife, why would I look here and there? Does it help you? Okay.
By this meditation, can we overcome the negativity?
Well, it depends. It very much depends. If I meditate on the presence of divine light, meaning I'm focusing all my attention on positive thing. Meditation sometimes, if not regulated, individual tends to think more on negative. See, have you heard the term premeditated murder? What does the murderer do? All planning, and he executes masterfully. That is a prime example of negative potentiation. See, he intensifies his negative tendencies. A thief can become a pakka thief through meditation. It depends what you want.
Should one be a believer, that is, believe in God, to pursue this meditation? Is this meditation purely secular or reaching the equivalent of God realization? I would like to ask whether it is possible for someone to be a non-believer in the first place and also to pursue meditation on the other hand.
Sure. I prefer non-believers actually. There are many reasons. I'll stick to a few good ones. When you believe in God, as I was saying earlier, are you really telling the truth you believe in God, or is there some hidden doubts now and then? And why do you believe in God? See, as a student, we used to believe in God, when exam comes. Oh my God, please help me. Exams are coming. He becomes a deliverer of your problems, reliever of your problems. Then you start believing Him in more and more of it. See. A non-believer, somewhere also, he feels that I haven't experienced. Why should I believe in God? Who is more honest? Believer believes without any basis. Non-believer does not believe because he has not found any proof in his experience, in his life. So who is more authentic? It is better to say, I don't know whether he is there or not, but I'd like to make sure either way. That is an honest search. Our journey must begin with honesty. I believe, but I'm not so sure. Most of us believe because we hope that one day He will open the doors of heaven for me. And if I don't believe in, perhaps He might punish me. So belief is driven by these two devilish weapons used by religions, temptation and fear. But I like to promote this idea that let's not begin with anything. I don't believe or I believe. Let us be neutral and then prove it in your life whether He exists or not. Let it be your search. Let it be your finding. Then there is some value to it. See? Knowledge without experience is as empty as those multinational currencies which finds no support of gold backing or oil backing or stable government. It needs some backing. Currency needs backing for its strength. Likewise, our belief, our knowledge also needs a backing of experience. And once you have that, then there is no need to believe or disbelieve. It is what it is for you. So I, with all my heart, thanks to everyone. And if you ever feel like continuing this meditation to deeper levels, and like to learn more about this meditation, this is just one aspect of meditation. We have many other elements to this practice, many elements to this practice, which can really change your life once and for all. And I must also share one more thing. With this heartfulness meditation, there are no fees. It is not that everything comes free in life. No, you'll be paying with your life. It's a transaction between us and God. My Guruji used to say, hear me carefully. God is not for sale. If he was for sale, how much would you pay? If you could pay, why would you need God? Good evening.